I got to thinking about autonomous trucks the other day and what a drag it's going to be babysitting those things, how boring it's going to be for the guy that's got to ride along in the cab. So I've come up with a list of things you'll be able to do when riding in an autonomous truck. Number one, you'll be able to play backseat driver. You'll be able to bitch at the truck for going too fast or going too slow, for not slowing down in bad weather, and you'll be able to bitch at the truck for hitting all the potholes while you're trying to sleep. Number two, you'll be able to catch up on your reading. Number three, you'll be able to sit there and text your brains out. You can send a whole bunch of stupid messages to your dispatcher and to get back at him for all the stupid messages he sent you. You'll be able to watch the truck try to fuel itself. You'll be able to see if the truck knows when it gets a flat tire. You'll be able to sit there and watch the truck go dumb as snow and ice plug the sensors and it won't be able to move. It'll just sit in the middle of the highway and go, duh. You'll be able to go in the back and bake a cake on the microwave oven rather than pay attention to what's going on the road. You'll be able to do a calisthenics program to get back in shape, something you've always meant to do but have never had the time before. Now you can set up a little workout station right in the bunk and use the best of your time. You'll be able to go home to your wife at the end of the day and tell her all the stupid things the truck did at work that day. Just looking forward to riding in those autonomous trucks. I hope the money's going to be good because nothing else will make you do it. So I'll tell you a story. Back when I had the reefer before I got into produce hauling, I hauled a fair bit of meat. Now, I remember one particular trip distinctly. I'd loaded meat in Brooks, Alberta at a packing house there called Lakeside Packers, I believe it was called. It was loading for Los Angeles out of Brooks. So when I went into Brooks to load, they were having strike trouble. Their workers were on strike. I had to cross the picket line. I was unhappy. I had to make my truck payments. I didn't like crossing the picket line, but I had truck payments. I had to do it. And I was warned by one of the officials on the loading dock that they'd had trouble with the quality of the meat, and they were blaming it on the workers before they'd gone to strike. Anyway, I managed to get the load on finally, and they got me out of there. I crossed the picket lines on the way back out, headed down for LA. On the outskirts of LA, I ran into another driver that had loaded at Brooks the day before me, and we were waiting because the part of LA where the meat packing houses and such that we had to go to were in either Watts or Compton. I can't remember which one, but it was an ugly neighborhood. So we didn't want to go in at night. We just waited till the sun came up, and then we went in, this other fella and I, with identical loads. We got down to the meat plant, and the inspector came out and just stuck his nose in the trailers, and that was how they checked the meat back then, just by smell. As soon as we opened the doors, both trailers just stunk, and everybody there knew that there was something wrong with the meat. So here we are with 2 loads of bad meat. Now what's going to happen? We've come a long way down to LA with this rotten meat. So what are we going to do? So we phoned the shipper to tell him the story. Say, hey, here's the deal. Our loads are bad. They're refusing them in LA. What do you want us to do? He said, yep, this has already happened to a couple guys before you. Here's what we're going to do. Turn your reefers right down, freeze the loads solid, and bring them up to Montreal. We thought, okay, what else are we going to do? It's extra miles. We'll get paid for this. We got to get rid of these loads of our trailers. So let's do that. So we cranked them down and we're headed out of LA for Montreal. And we thought, well, usually when you get something like a load of bad meat, they'll head you to a dog food plant or something like that. So that's kind of what we were expecting. They'd given us an address in Montreal. So we got up there a few days later and went in and tracked down this address, and it was a meat plant. It wasn't a dog food plant or anything like this. It was an actual meat buyer in Montreal. We thought, oh, it's kind of strange. Why would this guy want 2 loads of bad meat? Well, we went in. He was expecting us. We backed in against the doors and then went in to watch to make sure they emptied our trailers in a timely fashion. So there's the owner of this meat plant, this meat receiver actually, with the owner of Lakeside Packing, both of them on the dock, and a meat inspector out of Montreal, and they're checking the meat as it comes off the trailer. And all they're doing is the meat inspector said, shave an inch off this one, shave 2 inches off this one, and wherever the meat had turned green, they would just shave it off with an electric knife and throw it in the corner. And these were sides of beef, so they just shave them a little bit, and accept them. And I thought, man, there's just nothing scientific to this at all. It was incredible. They were just trimming off as little as possible and accepting this meat. And to this day, I remember that story, and to this day, I can't face buying a steak in Montreal just because I know how low the meat standards are there after watching it come off our trailers, and we thought it should go in the dumpster. This guy just trimmed it, served it up, and sold it. Man, I'll never buy a steak in Montreal, and maybe that's why they invented Montreal steak spice, to cover up the rancid smell of the meat out of there sometimes. That was a long time ago. You guys stay safe, and don't eat the green meat. Keep the rubber side down, and I'll see you on the backhaul.